من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا حبيبنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters, I'd like to welcome you today to our wonderful masjid as we take small baby steps towards completing the purchase of this building, renovation of this building and these buildings and on this site, alhamdulillah. As you know, it is holiday today and many of us, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, and I congratulate you for doing that, you brought your children with you, which is wonderful. Please do bring them whenever you can to the masjid, because masjid is the epicenter of all activities for Muslims, and our children should grow up finding pride and joy in being part of a masjid. So with this spirit, I'd like to ask you to squeeze as much as you can with your family and of course with your children, to make more space for people who are coming in. We have lots of people coming in today. Today I want to talk about Halloween. Now you may be thinking, we don't need to talk about Halloween, it's the mosque. In the mosque we don't talk about Halloween. No, we don't talk about Halloween in the sense of what to do and what not to do, but we want to talk about the Islamic perspective to Halloween to the best of our abilities, inshallah. I want to outline a number of principles for you. I just want you to very carefully listen to what I'm going to say. Number one, in Islam, everything is haram when it comes to ibadat and aqeedah. In other words, when it comes to our belief in Allah, ibadat and aqeedah, and belief and worship of Allah, everything is haram unless there is clear evidence to practice exactly that. So, let me clarify. I have to pray 5 times a day because there is evidence which says I should pray 5 times a day. If somebody comes up tomorrow and says, we're going to start praying 6 times a day, we would reject that idea because there is no evidence for it. So in worship of Allah, you cannot add anything new. And in worship of Allah, you can only worship Allah in the way Allah has prescribed it for you and in the way Prophet Muhammad ﷺ practiced it. So for example, when it comes to salah, he said, "Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli." Pray like you see me praying. Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. Pray like you see me praying. If I want to pray in a different way, the prayer will not be valid. Same goes for fasting. Same goes for Hajj. Same goes for charity. We do the way Rasulullah ﷺ did, and we do what Allah has prescribed for us because that's part of our ibadat, worship of Allah. The second realm is called aqeedah, the belief in Allah, everything to do with belief. I can't begin to start believing in Allah or elements of Islam because I feel like it. It doesn't work like that. Any elements of belief must be evidence-based. It must be in the Quran or it must be established by absolute sunnah of Rasulullah ﷺ. So for example, Allah is one. Allah is absolute. Allah doesn't look like us. Allah has no son, no daughter, no partner. Allah doesn't sleep. All of these are evidenced in the Quran. Surah Al-Ikhlas, for example. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. So Allah defines and describes Himself in the Quran, and we believe Allah that way. We don't believe in Allah in any other way. Knowledge about the unseen, about the hereafter, about the day of judgment, about life after death, about Jannah, Jahannam, all of these are knowledge of the unseen. We only believe in them as Allah has told us to believe in. No more, no less. Are you clear? Aqeedah and ibadat requires evidence before you can do anything. The third aspect of our life is called mu'amalat. It's called social interaction or just social and community interactions. These, in that realm, everything is halal unless there is an evidence to suggest it's haram. So for example, how I walk to the mosque, I can walk if I want to. I can drive my car if I want to. I can take a horse if I want to. I can fly if I like. I can take a Concorde if I want. I can even wear a jet suit if I want. And I can just jump inside and land here. Everything is allowed because there is no need to prove from evidence what is allowed. Rasulullah has made it very clear. On mu'amalat, everything is allowed unless there is a clear evidence. So for example, I can't drink alcohol. Why can't I not drink alcohol? Because it is clearly evidenced in the Quran as haram. I can't eat pork. Allah has made it prohibited for us by the words of Allah in the Quran. I can't gamble because it is prohibited. Even though they are part of social interaction, they are prohibited clearly. So therefore, I can't do them. Now when it comes to Halloween, is Halloween part of our Aqidah? Is Halloween part of our Ibadat? Is Halloween part of our Mu'amalat? That's the question you need to be asking yourself. Did Rasulullah ever do Halloween in his life? No, he didn't. Did any companion ever do Halloween in their life? No, they didn't. Well, somebody may argue, well, Prophet Muhammad did not use a microphone to give a speech. Prophet Muhammad did not sit on a lush carpet like we have. He did not have a building like we have. He did not ride a car. So how do you square that obvious gap? Well, the obvious gap here is Halloween is not like you coming to a mosque by walking, by car, or by transport of your choice, or what food you eat. It isn't like that. It is part of an origin that comes from a practice that is alien to Islam. Now let me explain this. But before I explain, can I ask people to squeeze a bit more, please? To your right, please. Everybody move to your right. Take a couple of inches to your right. Inshallah, this will be a good test to see how much weight we need to lose as well. Move a bit to the right, please, everybody. A bit to your right, inshallah. A lot of people have come. May Allah bless you all for making space for everybody. Squeeze as much as you can, inshallah. And we will make space outside. The day is glorious. It's not cold. It's not raining, alhamdulillah. There is space, brothers and sisters. Come to the front rows if you see any empty space. So while you're settling down, if we have young children, maybe they can also sit between the sisters and the brothers. There is a bit of space there. And young children can sit between the brothers and the sisters. That will enable the adults to feel comfortable and find space for themselves. That would be wonderful. So, brother who's rolling out the mat in between that space, make that space for young children, inshallah. Young children, if you can sit by yourself in between the brothers and the sisters on that space, that would be wonderful. Thank you very much. May Allah bless you. We've also got a tent at the back and we've got some mats outside for us to all find space. Fabulous. May Allah accept our efforts, inshallah. Once they've settled down, I'll then continue. Thank you very much. Excellent. Young children, I would recommend you sit on the new row that has been created for you, if you don't mind. So the adults can sit, because people don't feel very comfortable sitting next to brothers or sisters in close proximity, of course. And therefore, I would recommend young children to take that seat, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. So, Halloween comes from a pre-Islamic pagan practice that was practiced almost 2,000 years ago when it began. And it originates from some parts of British Isles where people would celebrate the darkness, death, the doom and gloom of winter. This would be celebrated by a festival called Halloween. This would be as part of their supernatural belief in the veneration of the dead. Now, if you really think about it, is there anything like this in Islam? Do we celebrate and venerate our dead? We don't. We make dua for those who have passed away. May Allah have mercy on them. We make dua for our loved ones who have passed away, but we don't do festivities for the dead. We don't do any of those superstitious activities. Does Halloween have any space in Islam, even in cultural realm? Can it be that trick and treat, pumpkin with the candle that they have, the costume that they wear? Unfortunately, because it comes from a pagan practice which is directly in contradiction to Islam, we as Muslims can't practice that. If there was a cultural practice within a society that had no pagan, or when I say pagan, I mean elements of shirk in it. And when I say shirk, I mean associating partners with Allah in it. If there is a practice that has got association with Allah of any partners, you and I are not allowed to participate in such a practice. Not allowed. So it's very important for you to understand that this is nothing to do with our aqidah, it's nothing to do with our ibadat, and it's nothing to do with our muamalat either, because it comes from a very ancient pagan practice, has elements of shirk in it, and almost believed to be true. Eventually, Christianity also played a role in embracing Halloween and making it somewhat Christianized, as I call it, and started becoming part and parcel of the Christendom within the Western world. So as Muslims, we should not celebrate Halloween. We should not take part in Halloween practices, whether it is trick-or-treating, whether it is with the images of bats, black cats, whether it is with games of bobbing apples, whether it is to do with the lantern, which is to do with the